Section 1600 Temporary Service. 1601 General. CPS Energy will supply power for a temporary service that is to be used for construction power, provided an approved structure with a meter loop is installed by customer. A standalone temporary meter structure, temporary meter loop, meeting construction provisions outlined herein is required. Refer to figures 1601 and 1602. Before CPS Energy energizes the temporary service, customer must satisfy permitting requirements with the authority having jurisdiction, AHJ, and the AHJ must release these permits. The street address must be legibly and permanently marked or attached on the temporary structure, but not on the meter socket cover. Temporary structures shall not be moved while energized. Note: CPS Energy will not supply electric service to any meter loop located on or attached to portable type structures or buildings. Refer to definition of portable. 1602 Construction of temporary meter structure. The temporary structure must be of sound construction. A minimum of 4-inch x 4-inch wooden mast shall be set a minimum of 2 feet in the ground and be supported by a minimum of 3 2-inch x 4-inch braces and stakes. Top braces are to be secured to temporary structure within 18 inches from top of structure for forward services or 18 inches below service head for overhead services. Refer to figures 1601 and 1602. Note: where temporary three-phase services are requested, a customer-owned meter pole in accordance with Section 1400 shall be installed for overhead services, and where supplied from an overhead to underground or underground service, then customer shall be required to construct a metering equipment rack in accordance with Figure 1820 1603 Temporary service laterals in URD areas. Service laterals furnished and installed by customer from CPS Energy pad mount transformers or secondary enclosures may supply customers service on temporary meter structures in URD areas. The standard method will be from pad mount transformers. Refer to definition of service lateral. Note: all applicable articles of Section 700 for URD systems will apply to temporary service installations in URD areas. 1603 1 Location of temporary meter structure. The structure shall be located within 2 feet and in line with the rear of the supplying transformer's pad. It shall be constructed with the meter positioned to face the street or alley. Transformer lid padlock is always located on the front of the transformer. Refer to Figure 1601. Where transformer is located on an adjacent property and the property owner objects to the temporary meter loop, it may be moved to adjoining undeveloped property utilizing CPS Energy's easement, but as close to transformer as possible. The temporary meter loop shall face towards the street or alley. Note 1. Where a secondary enclosure supplies a temporary meter loop, such loop shall not be installed closer than 3 feet to secondary enclosure. Section 1600, Temporary Service 11702. Where installing a ground rod at the temporary meter structure location, customer shall not drive ground rod at an angle toward the side of the transformer or toward the front side of transformer. Customer shall be responsible for ensuring that ground rod installation will not cause damage to CPS Energy underground infrastructure. 1603 2 Service lateral and conduits. Customer shall furnish and install service lateral conduits and conductors for temporary meter loops from transformer or secondary enclosure. The conduit, S, for the lateral conductors shall be installed in accordance with 1 through 4 below. Note 1. Customer shall not dig under CPS Energy transformers or secondary enclosures. CPS Energy will connect the service lateral conductors to the transformer in a manner that will not leave any portion of the conductors exposed. Note 2. Customer shall backfill trench immediately after placement of conduit, S, and shall provide marking on surface along trench route so as to identify its location. Marking shall be such that it will stay for the duration of temporary service usage. 1. Conduits shall be 1 1/4 inches minimum size unless otherwise specified by the CPS Energy Customer Service Representative. 2. Conduits shall be a type approved for direct burial and be rigid metal conduit, RMC, intermediate metal conduit, IMC, Schedule 40 or 80 PVC conduit, or flexible nonmetallic liquid tight conduit. Where flexible nonmetallic conduit is used, it shall be left long enough to extend into transformer or secondary enclosure. 3. Conduits shall be buried with not less than 12 inches of cover to the top of conduits from final grade and be provided with marker warning tape to warn excavators and to prevent damage or personal injury. 4. Conduits shall be continuous from the connection at the customer metering enclosure to a point in the trench that is within 6 to 12 inches from CPS Energy's transformer or secondary enclosure, refer to Figure 1601. Exception. For residential use of temporary meter structures only RMC, IMC, or Schedule 80 PVC conduits may be run above ground where not crossing property lines, not over 10 feet, and not subjected to physical damage or vehicular traffic including construction-related equipment. Conduits must be anchored sufficiently to prevent them from pulling away from transformer and temporary meter structure. CPS Energy shall make final determination on the conduits being subjected to physical damage. 1604 Temporary service drops in overhead areas. A temporary service drop will be installed by CPS Energy to a temporary structure approved by CPS Energy that is provided with a meter loop, both structure and meter loop installed by customer. All temporary services shall be inspected and approved by the respective AHJ. Section 1600, Temporary Service 171 Note. All applicable articles of Section 500 for overhead systems will apply to temporary service in overhead areas. 1604 1 Location of temporary meter structure. The structure shall be located within the customer's premises at a minimum distance of 15 feet and a maximum distance of 100 feet from CPS Energy's main line pole with a maximum load of 25 kVA. Working clearances about temporary meter loop equipment shall be in accordance with Section 1800 1604 2 Service entrance conductors, service raceway. Customer shall provide and install the temporary service entrance conductors and service raceway from CPS Energy service drop conductors to metering equipment, refer to definition of service entrance conductors. Customer shall be responsible for installing conductors in accordance with 1 through 3, below. 1. Customer shall provide a minimum of 24 inches of free conductor for connection to service drop by CPS Energy. 2. Conductors shall be installed in approved raceways of RMC, IMC, or EMT. Service raceway shall be a minimum of 1 1/4 inches and be securely supported to customer's temporary meter structure. 3. Drip loop conductors and service drop conductors shall be installed so as to maintain the minimum vertical clearance requirements outlined in Section 500 and shown in Figure 501. See the following figures or tables in the specification manual. Figure 1601 Temporary meter installation, Board service area. Figure 1602 Temporary meter installation, overhead service.